Today in Harrisonburg, Virginia, 3 press conferences were held regarding the topic of gun control laws in our nation in response to the increase of mass shootings across the country. Obama spoke about an executive order that was met with backlash from the House of Representatives and Congress. Fox News was there to report on the event. President Obama announced an executive order that requires gun dealers who sell over 50 guns per year to obtain a license from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. He also is requiring these licensed sellers to perform background checks that include criminal records and a psychiatric assessment along with a drug test on potential buyers. It would also include a 60-day waiting period before purchasing a gun and registration with the local law enforcement.
That they have the potential to have, lasting impact in the reduction of gun violence. However, the one argument against it is it does impede on citizens' rights to the Second Amendment.
During Q&A with the press, President Obama contradicted himself multiple times, like when giving an unclear answer about his stance on gun-free zones. He also seemed unconfident in his knowledge on his controversial executive order. Obama did not know where the money would come from to fund this order, and stated that there was nothing that could be done about the trade of illegal guns, which is where a huge portion of our gun issues lie in this nation. Obama then put the blame on Congress for not acting on this issue years ago. Fox News correspondent Taylor O'Donnell spoke with Director of Communications for the White House, Emmy Averill, and Press Secretary Miranda Scott, where they gave further insight into Obama's decision to use another executive action.
So Ryan said that your plan penalizes law-abiding citizens, which isn't the issue here. So how do you plan to deal with that?
So the Second Amendment states that guns are available for those who are law-abiding citizens, and our proposal basically just reinforces that.
Many are left wondering if this action creates an unfair hoop for law-abiding citizens to jump through to have access to their Second Amendment right. While Obama believes that this executive action will decrease gun violence in our nation, those in Congress and the House think quite the opposite.
Look, if the American people want gun control, that's what the American people want. But this is not supposed to be done through an executive order that violates our constitutional rights.
During McConnell's press conference, he immediately brought up the question on many people's minds. Is the president overstepping his authority with this executive order? During the press conference today, McConnell brought his aggressive and matter-of-fact attitude, as always, on this pressing issue.
I believe that Obama is using guns as a scapegoat for his inability to regulate the structure of our nation. It's not a problem about guns. It's a problem of violence. I'm offended. I think our whole entire country should be offended. And I think this is unlawful. And
McConnell doesn't believe that guns are even the problem. He proposes 3 ideas to help combat violence in our nation without infringing on our Second Amendment rights. These include violence education, prison reform, and putting an emphasis on cities who have a wide wealth gap. He also says that this action would dissuade people from getting the help they need just because they want to purchase these guns.
So McConnell talked a lot about the education programs that he wanted to bring together. Where is the money going to come from to fund that?
Well, there's already a lot of wasted spending in our judicial system, and I think what he was alluding to is that he wants to rearrange that spending and put it more towards the general education. A lot of the programs that already exist that aren't being utilized are already free programs.
McConnell also pointed out how Obama was, quote, flippy-floppy on his stance when it came to gun-free zones. Overall, McConnell accuses Obama for overstepping his executive power and violating our Second Amendment right to bear arms. He holds that executive action should only happen in times of peril and crisis.
Again, Obama is attempting to use executive action to bypass the congressional process that makes us a democracy. He says he can't do it himself. But Mr. President, I say it sure sounds like you're trying to.
Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, was unclear on his preferred plan of action to combat gun violence. He did make it clear that he did not approve of Obama's executive order.
Well, I think we have to do the opposite of what Obama wants to do. We can't make it harder for gun stores to legally sell.
Ryan, a newcomer to the position, states that he is willing to compromise by enacting more updated versions of background checks, but that Obama doesn't seem very willing to compromise. The focus of Ryan's argument is that we should be emphasizing mental health care and early education over intensive background checks. In order to solve the violence in our nation, Ryan believes we need to pass meaningful legislation rather than a quick executive order.
In reality, we should be meeting to talk about type of actions that we can take against illegal gun sales and black market sales of guns that are doing the real harm.
Ryan referenced previous mass shootings and provided statistics to show how guns used in these shootings were both legally and illegally obtained. Ryan supported his fellow Republican, McConnell, on how our country needs to rethink how we are educating our youth, but proved that he was taking hints from his predecessor and seemed more open to compromise. The White House has high hopes to combat gun violence, but leaves major loopholes open, such as the illegal gun trade. Neither the House of Representatives nor the Senate have provided solutions to this issue either. Overall, the day proved to be an interesting one. In the coming months, this executive order will put the Second Amendment to the test and raise already high tension between Republicans and Democrats. For Fox News, this is Taylor O'Donnell.